Cincinnati Bengals and Baltimore Ravens had an instant classic. That's the second one this year for the Cincinnati Bengals. In Kansas City, instant classic, lost by a point. At home, the Baltimore Ravens lose by a field goal in overtime. Crushing defeats. I mean, the Cincinnati Bengals, you can make a case legitimately, are 4 plays away from being 5-0, but you are what your record says you are. And right now, the Cincinnati Bengals are 0-4 in the AFC, 0-3 at home, 0-1 against the division. Their only win coming against an NFC South football team, Carolina Panthers. Well, they go to New York to play the Giants, an NFC East team. Maybe since it's an NFC team, they might get the ship straightened out a little bit. Man, very, very disappointing. It was a track meet, and that's not very AFC North-like. You know, you expect grueling, slobber knocker, defenses showing up. And this one, it was physical. I mean, there was a lot of hitting going on. There's no question about it. But the offenses had the upper hand. I mean, it was staggering, the numbers. 520 yards offense for the Ravens, 442 for the Bengals, 962 yards offense. Both teams averaged 6.8 yards per play. Both of them averaged almost 7 yards per snap. It was absolutely crazy. Third down, the Ravens were 2 out of 3, 10 for 15, 66.7%. The Bengals were 8 of 14. And what's crazy on third down, the Bengals struggled, getting stopped a couple of times on 3rd and 1, yet able to convert 3rd and 10, 3rd and 14. Just the opposite of what I thought. It's like, get the Ravens, man, in 3rd and short. You want to perform on 1st and 2nd down. You don't want to be 3rd and long against the Ravens defensive football team with everything they can do in terms of their pressure packages and false pressures and all that kind of thing. The Bengals converted better in those situations than they did in the short yardage situations on 3rd down. This game was crazy to say the least. Red zone. The Bengals were perfect 3 for 3 in the red zone. The Ravens were 5 for 6, really 5 for 5. I mean, that field goal, once the Henry broke that 51-yard run in overtime, they just kicked it on the next snap. It was in the red zone. So that's really not a red zone possession. So in my mind, both teams were perfect in the red zone. It was an unbelievable performance offensively by both football teams. The Bengals had 5 drives of 70 or more yards for touchdowns. 5 of them. One of them was a 1-play drive, but 5 of them for 70 yards or more and lose the football game. I mean, they had 7 third down conversions in the 3rd quarter, 7 for 7 on 3rd down in the 3rd quarter, and lose the football game. It's just it's mind-boggling. It ended up the Ravens took a knee on a possession right before the half, a 1-yard loss. So that's one of their possessions. So I'll discount that. In that case, both teams had 12 possessions. That's a heck of a lot more than I thought they were going to have. I mean, I thought this was going to be a 6 or 7 possession game. You can't afford to give a possession up. But man, they were scoring so quickly. I mean, it was incredible. It was definitely a track meet, and the team that ended up with the baton in their hand at the end of the football game were the Baltimore Ravens. Let's as I look through some of my notes here in the first half. Let's take a look at the first quarter. On the first possession that the Baltimore Ravens had, they win the coin toss and they go down the field, 12 plays, 70 yards, 3 for 3 on 3rd down, 1-yard conversion on 3rd and 1, 2 yards on 3rd and 2, 1 yard for a touchdown on 3rd and 1. So they converted on their short yardage 3rd down opportunities big time to take a lead. The Cincinnati Bengals go 3 and out, and I'm thinking, oh man, this could be a long afternoon. But then the Cincinnati Bengals respond. Their the next possession after the 3 and out in a sequence of 5 snaps, they generate 61 yards, a 16-yard completion, a 14-yard completion, a 19-yard completion to Gesicki, and then a 12-yard completion to Chase Brown. I mean, 16, 14, 19, 12. That's getting it done. They end up scoring a touchdown on that drive, 10 plays, 86 yards. Pretty phenomenal. But the Ravens had a touchdown drive of 102 yards. I mean, they start at the 8-yard line, and there's a 10-yard penalty in there. I mean, 102-yard touchdown drive. That's crazy, man. It was, and there were multiple red zone third down touchdowns scored by each team. I mean, they were converting in the red zone on third down. It was an interesting battle that way as well. So in the third quarter, it was amazing when the Bengals recorded those 7 straight third downs, 12 plays, 70 yards for a touchdown. The Ravens answer. They only take 4 plays to go 74 yards. They have a 15-yard completion to Zach Flowers, and then a 55-yard completion to the tight end Kolar down the middle of the football field. The Bengals were running a lot of cover zero. They were like wanting to pressure, and if the pressure didn't get there, Jackson was making some throws. He was holding on that football, creating, extending, and buying time, and he hit Kolar down the middle, and against zero coverage, that's a good place to go, and he hit him for 55 yards. Likely ends up catching a 1-yard touchdown pass. 4 plays, 74 yards. Then the Bengals respond again, and they convert 3 more third down opportunities. They go on a 12-play, 70-yard touchdown drive themselves. I mean, that's what I'm talking about. This thing was back and forth, 10 plays. It's at 92 yards, but there was a 10-yard penalty, so 10-play, 102-yard drive by the Ravens to answer there. The Bengals answer with a 1-play drive. I mean, they run a little screen pass and chase the ball. If the ball's thrown behind the line of scrimmage, I throw the ball sideways, he takes it 70 yards for a touchdown. Joe Burrow loves those, man. That pads those numbers big time. And then the most ridiculous play of the game, and ESPN's calling it the biggest play of the year offensively. Lamar Jackson turns a potential turnover. He fumbles the snap, and he's digging around trying to get it to a potential turnover, turns it into a touchdown pass. I mean, he zigzags around, gets out of pocket. Sam Hubbard a couple of times has a shot at him. And the thing about this quarterback, Jackson, even when it looks like he's going to get sacked, he is so quick with his feet. He gave ground like 3 quick steps, and Sam never got a flush hit on him. He thought he was going to get a big hit on him, and it turns into a glancing blow because Lamar Jackson just backpedals. He can go in any direction, forward, backward, either side, with the same quickness. I mean, his foot dexterity is unbelievable. His short space quickness is, I think he's as great an athlete as the game has ever seen. Never mind the quarterback position. I'm talking anywhere, really. This guy could play wide out. He could play running back. It's incredible. And he makes that, as he's going out of bounds, gets hit by Jermaine Pratt and throws a ball back across his body, likely in the back of the end zone, and he catches a touchdown pass, extending and creating plays. The Bengals blitzed a ton. I mean, they were aggressive. They came after him. They said, we're gonna make you make decisions. And what Lamar Jackson did was, with that athleticism, bought time, made it too long to cover on the back end, and there were breakdowns. Guys were wide open at times. And, man, it's like you're counting Mississippis, you're up to 7 Mississippis sometimes, and he's still holding that football. So you got to give them credit. Lou Anarumo was extremely aggressive on him, and I can't blame him for doing that. But boy, Jackson made plays. He rushed for 55 yards in the football game as well. This year, he's rushed for at least 45 yards in every football game. So the guy's got a throwing arm, and with his feet and legs, he can hurt you as well. But that was a ridiculous play that he made. And then, of course, Joe Burrow's only interception of the game, one too many slants. Humphrey just read it, and Humphrey jumped it, closed on it, and he made himself the primary target. Jamar Chase was beating himself up, saying he should have run the slant a little bit, a little bit more of an angle. Joe said after the game, the way it looked to him when he released the football, he'd make that throw, every time. Players make great plays. That's what they get paid for. I mean, Humphrey's an all-pro cornerback. He made a great play. And that interception, the Bengals were moving. I mean, they were on Baltimore's 33-yard line. It was a line of scrimmage on that snap. So, that turnover hurt, obviously. And then you got a place kicker that kicks a 56-yard field goal to tie the game, put it into overtime, basically. It's like he was 1 for his last 7 from 50 yards and beyond. But against the Bengals, man, he's damn near perfect from 50 and beyond, and he drilled that bad boy. And then the Bengals get the football back with a minute 35 seconds, and Joe gets sacked on a little twist inside. And at that point, 2nd and 17, now, okay, let's see what happens in overtime. Let's just, run the football. He threw it a short ball to T. Higgins. Didn't want to put the ball in jeopardy. 3rd and 17, 9-yard run up the middle on a draw play of Chase Brown. And then we go into overtime. Man. First possession. Lamar Jackson fumbles another snap. I mean, he had 2 fumbles. He fumbled the pistol, shotgun snap, whatever. It's covered by Pratt, advances it to the 38-yard line. Zach Taylor calls a pass play. Joe doesn't like the look against the defense the Ravens were lined up in, and he audibilizes. He changes it to a run. The Bengals decide at that point in time to pound the football, and they Brown right guard for 3 yards. And then on 3rd and 7 from the 35-yard line, they get nothing. So 3 runs nets them 3 yards, 53-yard field goal. And for the second time this season, a rookie has a problem. In Kansas City on 4th and 16, rookie makes a critical error. They get a 26-yard pass interference out of it, and they win the football game. In this instance, a rookie, punter, holder, bobbles the snap. And the ball goes to the ground with the laces down, on facing the ground just about, and he gets it up in time for the kick, but it's discombobulated. The operation isn't smooth, isn't clean, and Money Mac hits it as well as he can. He got some distance on it, but the accuracy just wasn't there. I mean, if you have a clean snap and hold, the football game's over right there, in my opinion. I mean, I don't think there's any doubt in my mind. And football is great. I mean, you can second guess everything, and just like 4th down when they threw the ball to Zach Moss in the wind out in Carolina, and he stumbled and almost goes to the ground. And if he had fallen on the ground and been touched, they would have gotten crucified. But it worked out. He kept his balance and scored the touchdown. So, hard to second guess. But that's the nature of the beast. You make decisions, you live by them. If they work out, you survive. If they don't, you're going to get crucified by second guessing. And that's what they're looking at right now. So, lose to a division rival. Again, just a very entertaining football game. The networks love the Bengals. Man, they've given them 2 of their best games of the year in Kansas City. This football game in Cincinnati against the Ravens. I mean, it had to have huge audiences. I mean, I think as people started to hear by social media how the game was going, I bet it picked up momentum big time. The networks love the Bengals. Problem is, the Bengals are 1-4. So the hell with the networks. Got to win some football games. New York Giants, next opponent. 22 quarterback sacks. Huh? In 5 football games. Their defensive line is a factor. They have multiple pass rushers. 11 different players have at least 1 quarterback sack. The most sacks, Lawrence has 6. Good edge guy. There's no question. I mean, he's legit. 5 different players have 2 or more sacks. 7 different players have 1.5 or more sacks. They are bringing it. Their front 4 can pressure you by themselves and drop 7 into coverage if need be. Or they'll mix it up and bring an extra rusher. And you don't know when they're going to do it or how they're going to do it. This defensive football team, it's legit. Jones has been up and down. In 2022, he had a great year. They go to the playoffs. Last year, not very good. This year, he's playing a little bit better. 6 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, quarterback rating of 86, completing 64% of his passes. When we're talking quarterbacks, how about Burrow's numbers? Are you kidding me? Can't be wasting these numbers. Can't be wasting a Joe Burrow season. Burrow's completing 72.3% of his passes at this juncture, 7.92 yards per attempt, almost 8 yards per attempt, 12 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, quarterback rating of 113.6, 1,370 yards passing. Unbelievable numbers. How about Jamar Chase? 29 catches, 493 yards, averaging almost 100 yards a game now because he's been unbelievably dynamic the last couple of football games. 17 yards a catch, 5 touchdowns. T. Higgins has got 2 additional touchdowns to that, and he's contributing 18 catches as well. I mean, The stars are performing. The offense is getting it done. Defensively, obviously had some issues, had some problems. A 1-4 football team that has been outscored by 5 points on the season. Amazing. Even Steven in the first quarter, outscored by 2 in the second. They've outscored the opponent by 6 in the third. They've been outscored by 6 in the fourth and by 3 in overtime. Every single football game, the 4 losses, the most points they've been outscored by is the New England Patriots. And, man, I knew the New England Patriots game would come back to haunt me all year long. I got brothers and relatives in New England, and they're saying that, man, it's about almost going to be a revolution there, man. The offense is pointing at defense is pointing at the offense, and what's the only win the Bengals have? That the New England Patriots have? Against the Bengals in the opener in Cincinnati. Well, you have no choice. What you have to do, pick yourself up by the bootstraps and go into New York with your A game. New York Giants, I mean, this football team, they're 2-3. They're capable. They are capable. I mean, the Bengals had the biggest scoring game of the season. So did the Baltimore Ravens, though, by far. I mean, the Ravens, they've been held to 6 points by the Vikings, 16 by Washington, lose them both. They scored 21 in Cleveland and win. They're held to 15 points by the Cowboys, lose that football game. They scored 29 in Seattle, kind of get on track offensively, and put 41 on the board here in Cincinnati. So that's 70 points now in the last 2 games. Baltimore's offense might be untracked. And if it is, they're the division leader. Watch out. Can't let them pull away and hide, run away and hide, and run away with the division. Bengals can't worry about that stuff, though. What they have to do, go to New York, get a win. Go to Cleveland, get a win. Then they come back home for 2 games. 2 on the road, 2 at home. Target that little portion, that 4-game portion of the 17-game schedule to get back on track. First and foremost, got to go to New York and get the W. Dave Lapham here, and every day I am grateful for my experience to have played professional football. As a player, I realized self-motivation, leadership, and appreciating your teammates are key. At First Star Logistics, you can use those same attributes to create the life you want for you and your family. Build your future by working hard like I did. You'll see results both on and off the field. Call First Star Logistics today and be part of our winning team.
Opportunity knocking.